do you think, just on that part real quick, and coaching, was it, how did you know that probably a coach was an answer for you?
So at Keller Williams,
a lot of it, they just kind of goes back to maybe what Jen was talking about is, being my own boss, figuring out my own way, blazing my own path. And I want to talk to you about that because that's kind of my wife, and she sees that as a downside of things. And I try to encourage her, like, no, that's not a bad thing. That can be a good thing. We just got to, utilize the skill set. But how did you know, like, getting into the business that, you should probably take into some coaching?
We both had the same coach, and he literally,
he was amazing.
Because everybody knows you get your license in real estate, and it's like, congratulations, acreage, math, legalese that you're not supposed to know. But what are you doing next? How do you hold an open house? How do you open a Supra?
Right.
How do you show a home? Nobody knows that. Right. And that's where it was like, you're just left in the dust as a new agent of like, congratulations, here you go. And I think that's why so many fail, is because they don't have the proper tools and knowledge to show a home. And real estate is literally your biggest purchase or sale in someone's entire life. It's so serious. And we're just not taught how to do the things that get us to the next step.
Right.
Yeah. So for us, Keller Williams, when you're a new agent, you have option for the first year or X amount of transactions. And the cool thing about how they have it set up is you pay your coach at closing. So it's not like you're paying $1,000 a month and taking on this huge burden.
Right.
As a new agent, you pay them at closing. So just showing up, sitting in the classes, asking how to write a contract, things like that was something that, for a free service up front, I was like, why wouldn't I, but also like going back to my sports days, like Kobe Bryant, when he was at the top of his game, had a coach. What makes me think I need a coach? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was kind of just my mentality on it, was I got to figure this out. And instead of reinventing the wheel or trying to figure it out myself, why don't I just follow the path of the people who have proven to be successful?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. It's, I got fortunate and had coaching when I got into the business from my team lead. Obviously, I joined as a team, or we helped create a team at that time. And I think it's just a huge missed opportunity for a lot of agents. They just, don't see the value. And even to this day, like, I had coaching, and then I went a couple years without any coaching, and now I have coaching again. And I tell agents, it's not always about just increasing production count. Sometimes it's about the connections and the other people that you meet, right?
If they can help you grow as a person, you're going to be a better entrepreneur anyway.
I'll tell you, John, we have a business coach that, we went to real estate specialist coaching, and now we just brought into a full-blown business success coach. And we were there yesterday for an hour and a half. We laughed, we cried, we learned. Oh, we cried. But that's exactly what it is. We're not too good for our own coaching. And we still, to this day, we value coaching.
Yeah. I think that the biggest thing, though, is you have to find someone who matches your energy, can see your vision, and someone who's not going to, try to make you be someone that you're not. Like my first coach that I actually started paying for when I, was successful and I was out of the Keller Williams program, was too militant. I mean, he was like numbers. And I'm like, bro, I know my numbers. Like, I'm just repeating to you what I've been staring at all week prepping. You know what I mean? I need you to tell me how to break that ceiling. I need you to tell me how to get out of the stride that I'm in. And then our next coach that we had together, she was fantastic. She was a visionary. She helped us build our org chart. But when it came time to, okay, the org chart's built, we know our next steps, there was nothing more challenging. There was nothing more, that she could give to us in that moment. And it's no fault of any coach that we've ever, had to break up with. It's just at each point in your career, in your life, you need someone that's a little bit
the next level of
the
challenge.
Next level, yeah.
And so once, we got to that point, and I said, Lauren, this coach has given us what we needed. Time to move on. Now it's time to level up to the next coach. And that's what we did. So,
yeah.
No, I think that's awesome. And I always tell people, everyone should have a coach. Everyone should have, peers that are on the same path as them, where they're currently at in their business. And I think that everyone can coach someone to get to where you're at. Right. And I truly believe in those three things. In order for you to get to those next levels, I think you need all three of those,
And I think the thing that a lot of people don't do is you got to do what your coach tells you to do. You can't just say, I have a coach. You got to do what they're telling you to do.
The accountability piece. Most people say they want it, but they don't want it.
They don't want it.
They don't want to do what it takes to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always say, surround yourself with, there's been so many opportunities that myself and Lauren have had to do things. And I say, surround yourself with 5 people that are smarter, better, more successful than you. I want to be the least successful person in the room, purposefully. And, opportunities come, and I've looked and I said, these are my peers. They're not where I want to go. They're
where I am.
So no, I'm not going to take that on. Instead, I need something that's going to be challenging to me, that's going to make me scared, nervous, and I don't want to disappoint. And that's when I know that that's where I need to go.
Yeah. Jen, you mentioned that, through your previous, career and you found out that you are the person that needs to kind of lead, right? Kind of be your lone wolf. Did you always have that, or was that just something that as you went through your career, it just kind of became that? Because like I mentioned, I was talking, Anna and we talk about this all the time. She is that individual. I'm the opposite, right? Like typically I need to be on a team, right? Could I lead a team? Yes. I just don't want the responsibilities. But, for her, she always just thought it was like a negative. And I'm like, it's not a negative. It's just understanding who you are and how you operate. Right. And I'm curious to kind of, how did you get to that point?
So I know that I am a fight the system, damn the man kind of girl. I've always been that way. And even I can look back in my past where owners of businesses are just like, Jen, this isn't right. And I'm like, no, this is right. I'm right. I'm going to tell you and prove to you that I'm right. And if they tell me no, then it's my biggest goal in life to show them that I was right. But I took the DISC test, Tony Robbins DISC test, which I'm sure a lot of people take. And I came back with a 99.9% D, high D. And that's just the dominant. And she's
taken it 6 other times and she can't get less
I keep
than that.
trying to take it to see if I can change it. I can't change it. I've met one other person in existence that has the same score that I do. And it's just that I know who I am. So that kind of led me to say, I know that someone cannot tell me my rules, which also makes us great team leaders. The reason that Lauren and I came together, and you have to know your role. So Anna knows that she's dominant. Well, Lauren is the complete opposite of me. And when we went to career visioning, that's how we became a team together. We were both solo agents. We were both in the LGBTQIA community. We both had the same kind of group of friends, and we were each other's almost competition.
Yeah.
And
we absolutely were. Because I was having drinks with one of my clients on a Friday night, and she put her in contract on Sunday. And I was like, what the hell just happened?
And I said, follow up, baby.
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
And so it's just one of those things where we looked at each other, and we went to this career visioning seminar for a weekend in Cincinnati. And they said, write everything down that you absolutely are super passionate about with real estate. And then write the things down that you don't like necessarily love, but you have to do. So we wrote those down, and Lauren's were everything I disliked, she loved, and everything I loved, she disliked. And I looked at her list and I looked at my list and I said, oh shit. That day there was a tornado warning at the hotel. There's like 1,000 agents at this event.
100 at least.
Yeah. And then they had to take us all down to the lower level bar because that was the safe spot. So we're in this
put a couple hundred agents in a hotel bar, John. You know what's going to happen.
And I look at her, we're having a couple glasses of wine. And I'm like, I think that we need to be team members. That's the only way it's going to work. Otherwise, we're going to be each other's complete competition. And on top of it, we can cover what what we don't like. So we always say, like, work with LKW, Lauren, Jen, you get 2 for 1, because there's not one transaction that is done solely with just Lauren or Jen. We're always bouncing ideas off of each other. I mean, there's times where she'll be on the phone with another agent and I'm like, give me the phone, give me the phone. And I'm sitting in the background, I'm like, give me the phone. And she's like, here. And I'm like, okay, so here's what we're going to do. And there's other times where it comes down to like numbers or comping out houses. And I'm just like, ugh. Can you? And she's like, just give it to me. I'll do it in 5 minutes. It's going to take you 30. It's going to take me 5. And I'm like, there you go. So we know our strengths and our weaknesses, and we play off of it. And that's how it's worked for us. But knowing your personality type, and then we always say, like, find your missing piece. So if you're a solo agent and you're super dominant, like Anna might be, or you like more of the team setting, you have to find the piece that's missing. And that's how you're going to get the most successful, because you can't do it all. You cannot merge personalities that much.
Right.
I mean, there's multiple times we take on clients, and I might meet with them, Lauren will meet with them, and we'll look at each other and go, you need this one.
Yeah.
And this one's not meant for me, because my personality is like, walk through the door and I'm like, all right, this is a great house. Let's write an offer. Here's why, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'm going to walk you through the steps of boom, and very like kind and caring and generous and educational. And I'm like, got this, let's go. And here's why.
Yeah.
So we've had clients that need both.
Yeah.
So it's nice when they're like, just tell me what to do. I'm like, well, I mean, I can give you my recommendation. And she's like, no, I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm more of like, well, here are your options. Here are the scenarios. This is what I would recommend. And, I like to empower the client, but not everyone feels comfortable making decisions. They just want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
So a lot of time, we do most of our buyer consultations together. And it literally is 2 for 1. We're like Jekyll and Hyde, except.
Awesome.
I just think it's super important. I mean, it's one thing that I've learned over the years. I mean, from my team dynamic, Ryan is the team lead. He's the visionary, right? The one thing that he was terrible at was putting systems in place and, training agents. And that's where I kind of came into the mix. But being okay with that, like, I fought that a lot. I always joke, Ryan and I, we always go at it like this about every 3 to 4 years. And it's because my ego gets in the way, right? It's my ego thinking, oh no, I'm going to go do this on my own. Right. And then we just, it's like this for about a month or two. But I think it's hard for people to come to those terms of, this is who I am and this is my spot. And, to what you said, it's like, you can't do it all. You can't name one successful, large company, small company where that one individual is running the whole thing. You can't. But somehow in our business, we think that that's possible. Right. I mean, you need team members, whether it's I'm not just saying buyers agents and, all of that, but you need support of your brokerage and the front desk person and the accounting person and, a coach, right? If they're offering a coach or whatever the case may be to kind of get you to where you want to get to. Lauren, what made you get into real estate? Jen was taking all the tests and that was, the sign. What made you get into real estate?
So, back up to 2012, I was trying to buy my first house. And we all know what buying a house was in 2012. It was mostly short sales, right? So I was like 23. I was like, I got this awesome job. I got this money. I'm going to buy this house. And I didn't know that I could have my own agent. I just called the person on the sign and I said, hey, I want to buy this house. And she opened the door and I wrote an offer. And I had no idea what a short sale was. So after 6 months of literal hell, I was like, they couldn't give me a date. They were like, well, the bank needs to do this and the bank needs to do that. And they couldn't give me a date. And I was like, well, I'm literally going to be homeless if I can't move in. And so I terminated the contract. And I was just like, what happened? Like, why? I didn't get my earnest money back. I couldn't understand why. I had no idea why the bank wouldn't let it go or what the price. They tried to increase the price by like 20 grand for my offer after it was already accepted, like all these different things. So I just started like researching, and I'm kind of a nerd anyway. So I was like Googling all these things, and I was like, oh man, that could have gone a lot differently if I would have A, known I could have my own representation, B, known that representation would have been free to me, and C, understood anything of what was going on or been educated in the process, you know, because I figured when the seller accepted my 30-day contract, that meant 30 days, but I didn't understand that the bank had final say, et cetera. So I kind of just started researching a little bit. And then when I was off work and kind of, you know, and drowning in my sorrows of not wanting to go back, I started to kind of look at what it took. What does it take? How do you get your license? How much money, et cetera, et cetera. And then about 6 months after that, when I was finishing up my capstone to finish my degree, I was like, well, now what? I quit my job. I can't bartend for the rest of my life. Now I got to figure something out.
Yeah.
It was a couple glasses of wine and a Craigslist ad. It was Keller Williams. We need agents. And I emailed the team lead. And that week I stopped in after my shift, met with him. It was 3 hours. My roommates were like calling me like, dude, are you dead? Like, where are you at? And we kicked it off and I went and they sponsored me and I got my license.
So all great ideas start with booze. I think that's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
That's what I say. It works for Ryan and I too. So
it was kind of just I wanted to be a difference in not letting what happened to me happen to anybody else. Right.
Yeah.
Because I still, to this day, that was 10 years ago, I look at the equity I could have had in that house and I look at what my options would have been.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that would have been life-changing for me. If I would have stuck that out and understood what I was getting into. I mean, I had the cash to do it. I was a 23-year-old punk that had nothing but rent to pay. Yeah. And I'm looking back and I'm like, I would have 6 figures easy in equity, which could have been life-changing. I mean, thankful for me, I'm a business owner now, so I am not living paycheck to paycheck. But you know, for someone who's in a $50,000 salary capped out, that would have been life-changing for them. So
yeah, no, I mean, you're spot on. I mean, back then it was so hard with short sales to kind of give someone an idea of it could be 30 days, it could be 8 months, you know, it could be a year before we get it was the wild, wild west back then, you know. And it's crazy that there's a lot of people that get into this business as a licensed agent that had a terrible experience with their agent. And, you know, I just sat down with one today and that's why she got into the business. 3 different experiences with 3 different agents throughout the course of buying and selling real estate. And she's like, I can do better.
Well, and the best part is, I mean, I'm obviously not going to say this person's name, but she's written offers on some of my listings. And every time it stings. And I'm just like, oh, I don't want to see her. You cost me 6 figures. No, I think she was a young agent at the time too. So I don't know, but it was just so frustrating. So.
Yeah, no, totally understand. Now, what made you both, I guess when you made that decision, you both are leaving, you know, great careers, right? Going from, you know, salary or, you know, a paycheck every 2 weeks to like, okay, let's get into real estate. Let's go 100% commission. And obviously you guys kind of made it work a little bit, you know, with other jobs and, you know, filling in the gaps. But